Hey guys, welcome back. So today's Chit Chatter Day topic is going to be drugstore concealers. I want to give you my thoughts, my opinions, a review on every single drugstore concealer I own and have tried. Which one is best? That's what we're going to kind of dig into and give you the specs on all the different concealers that I have personally tried from the drugstore. I do have a drugstore dedicated playlist, and so I will link that in the description box. If drugstore is your jam, or if you just want to learn a little bit more about some of the things I've tried, I will link below. Welcome if you are new. Chit Chatter Day is my day where we just sit back, we chill, we chat. It's usually a long video. It can be about anything, but I just love that it gives me the freedom to just be myself with you guys and be long-winded, and just know my Chit Chatter Day videos are always going to be very thorough, fun, and sometimes a little different, but today it's going to be a review. I do upload videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. No, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And as you know the drill, all the other places you can find me are always in the description box. So I'm going to start with the first one here, and this is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow Concealer. This is what the packaging looks like. I will be referencing my notes if you see me looking down. I want to make sure to be as descriptive and thorough as possible with you guys. Now this retails for $9.99 and you get 0.21 ounces. This concealer is available in 8 shades. I have it in the lightest shade, which is number 01 Classic Ivory. Now compared to other concealers, this is not very light. This is more flesh toned for me. Not flesh toned, but my skin tone. There is a look at the color. It'll dry down here so you can see. But it is a little bit darker, I think, for an ivory. And in a shade range, if this is the lightest, if you are fairer than me, which there are several of you out there, because I am not really fair, I'm more light, this might be too dark for you. This is a very glowy concealer. This is a medium coverage at best. This is not going to be that full coverage situation. As you can see, it is a very radiant finish. When you apply this to the skin, your under eye area is going to look very glowy, very radiant. It's not going to look like natural. It's going to look like fresh, cleaned skin. It's very lightweight. I find that it is buildable. I don't think you're going to be able to get full coverage out of this, however. If you have very dark circles, I don't think this is going to cover those. I would correct the circle first and then go in with the concealer. Now, this does claim to conceal, correct, and highlight. I agree with the conceal and highlight claims. I don't necessarily agree with the correcting claims. Now bear in mind, I do not have dark under eye circles, nor do I have a lot of, like this area under here, it's not really an area of concern for me. However, I do like that this brightens the area. I just don't find that you're probably going to be able to correct anything with this. The second concealer is the Maybelline Better Skin Concealer. You get 0.25 fluid ounces of product, so you're getting a little more than the L'Oreal. Now this retails for $8.99. It is available in 6 shades, which is not a huge shade range when you're considering all the people in the world. I had purchased shade light, and I use the word I had purchased because I bought that concealer. I loved the formula. It reminded me of the L'Oreal. It was very lightweight. It was very creamy. The finish on it was really beautiful. However, as soon as I applied that concealer to my under eye area, it burned. And I thought, you know what? Maybe this is a good burning. Maybe this is the sensation of this is working. No, it continued to burn even after I set it. And so I thought, you know what? I don't think this is good. I don't think this is a reaction that I should be having. Either my skin didn't like it, but I did watch a few other videos and I heard a few other people say it burned too. So I'm wondering if it's because it has acetyl C in it, which is a form of vitamin C. And that's why they call it the Better Skin, because it claims to help with dark circles, spots, and imperfections. And their claim on that is that they see a reduction in 3 weeks. If you can endure the pain and the burning sensation, sure. Let me know down below. Let us know, maybe, did you experience that? Do you experience that? Let's start a conversation below to see if maybe it's just the product or if it indeed is just a personal thing. So vitamin C is awesome. However, I prefer to get that out of my skincare than inside a makeup item. I can't even imagine that it really can do anywhere near what a skincare product can do in a concealer. It did have medium to full coverage. It did have good, it did cover my under eye area really well. I can see how you could use that as a corrector or that you could use that to spot conceal. I just couldn't deal with the burning. The next concealer that I have here is by Wet n Wild. This is the Photo Focus Concealer. Wet n Wild is cruelty free. This is $3.99 and you get 0.29 fluid ounces. So this one, you get the most product in so far, and it is by far the cheapest. However, the downside to this is the fact that it only comes in 6 colors. Once again, this is the shade Light Ivory, which I would say this is definitely a more ivory colored concealer versus the L'Oreal, which says this is a classic ivory. You can see it's vastly different. They call this the Photo Focus Concealer, which they have a corresponding foundation, which I have not tried yet. Maybe I should. Do you guys want me to do a review on that one? Because I will definitely add that to my drugstore foundation reviews that I'm doing. But this has been tested under 7 different lighting conditions, and it's proven to not leave a flashback or a white cast in photos. If you're going to be a bride, or you're going to have like prom, or whatever it is that you're doing, you want to have some flash photography done, this might be a good concealer to pick up and try, because you won't have to worry about, why do my under eyes look so white and light and bright? I would say that this has good buildable, fuller coverage concealer. I forgot to mention, but the makeup look that I'm wearing today is I did film it, and it's part of my throwback series. I use the Lorac Pro 1 palette. I don't know why I'm doing this. I will link that makeup look below in case you want to head on over to that video and watch how I created it. I absolutely love how it turned out. Okay, so the next concealer that I have is the NYX HD Concealer. You get 0.11 ounces. So this is like literally almost half the size as the other ones, and it's $4.99. Now this comes in a huge shade range. This comes in 19 different shades, so they definitely got that aspect of the concealer nailed. This concealer gives medium to full coverage. Now I don't have that concealer any longer because I found as I got older, it was starting to become a little bit too dry of a formula for me. It was settling and showing my fine lines, and I would smile and all I would see would be all my little lines just almost emphasized. So whereas I loved the coverage of it, it was just starting to become a little bit too heavy of a concealer. It used to work great for me, but we're talking, you know, like 5 years ago, and a lot can happen to your skin in 5 years, especially once you get over that, get out of your 20s. I really started noticing all the damage I did in my teens and early 20s to my skin. It's starting to show up now. Go me. But I mean, it's really great, affordable. It has great coverage, but if you're someone who has drier under eyes or you have those fine lines and wrinkling, I would steer you away from that concealer and more towards something along the lines of this. The next concealer is the one I'm actually wearing today, and this is by Catrice. This is their Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer. This is a cruelty-free brand. It is also paraben-free. This is 0.17 ounces, so you're getting less product than in either one of these. You can see definitely how packaging can be deceiving, because you would think that this being the largest bottled concealer right here, you actually get less product than either one of these. So this is $5.99. Here's what I don't like about this. This is my one thing I do not like about this concealer. It only comes in 3 colors. 3 colors? So I have the shade 005 Light Natural. Now they have one that's porcelain, and they have one that is more of like a yellow beigey undertone. So here's the Light Natural, which is the lightest of the 3 so far. This is very, very pigmented, yet incredibly lightweight. It's not a thick, heavy, Tarte-Shape Tape-esque concealer. I've fallen out of love with the Tarte-Shape Tape. In case you didn't watch any previous videos from me, it is just too heavy. It's just too much. I find I get just as good coverage without the creasing and the cakiness and just looking old underneath my eyes with this concealer. This is also waterproof. So summertime is coming, the heat is coming. I love that it's long-lasting, full coverage, yet lightweight. So far, if you're looking for a full coverage concealer, I highly recommend this. The next concealer that I have is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser Dark Circle Treatment Concealer. It is a mouthful. You get 0.20 ounces in that concealer for $8.99. Now this concealer comes in 6 shades. I have had 2. I have had both the brightener, which is like a pinky undertoned brightener. It literally brightens the under eye area, and I've had also the shade Light. This is a good medium, buildable, full coverage concealer. The applicator is a little bit different on it. It's like a twist up, so the top is a sponge and you can just draw it onto your face. It's creamy, it's really blendable, it works really well. It lasts well on the skin. I never once had an issue with that concealer. If anything, towards the end of me owning it, the formula started to get a little bit dry. And once something gets a little dry, or it just kind of becomes more difficult to work with, and then if you have any of those fine lines and wrinkles and, you know, just this is a delicate eye area, and if you try to put too much product on it, I mean, inevitably it's going to start to look too much. So I think another thing to take into consideration when applying concealer, which is the opposite of probably any video you've ever watched here on YouTube of some of those like makeup artists when they're putting concealer, I mean, they put so much on, but you can only do that for so many years, you know, like you start to get older and more is not better. More makes you look worse. Less is more. I've absolutely been finding that to be so true, especially when it comes to face products. Less is more. So I would recommend that concealer. I do enjoy it. I'm just liking a lighter weight formula with that punch of coverage that I'm getting from these other three that we've already mentioned. This is a surprise. So this next one is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. You get 0.23 ounces in this for $6.99. This is available in 6 shades. I have the shade 15 Fair. Now I labored over which shade to get in the drugstore, because one thing that I definitely do is if I know what shade I already have, I'll take that item off of the shelf and I'll bring it over to the item that I'm deciding upon to kind of compare within the package, because the lighting is terrible, what shade to go with. So here is, let's see, this bottom one here, you can see it has a little bit more of a pink undertone compared to the yellow undertone of the Catrice, and then these are a little bit more beigey. So here we go, this is 15 Fair. This is a good natural finish medium coverage concealer. You're not going to get full coverage out of this. This is a great concealer to wear for, let's see, days you just want to do a tinted moisturizer or a tinted SPF, a light sheer coverage, even medium coverage foundation. I would pair this with any of those things. I wouldn't necessarily pair this if I'm doing a full coverage foundation unless you get your foundation up under here, because I wouldn't want this to be super full coverage and then this to be kind of light and to see things through it. So that's just how I process and go about my foundation application, but this is wonderful. It is fragrance free, it is ophthalmologist tested, it is dermatologist tested. I don't find that this irritates my eyes whatsoever. It gets the job done, it stays on all day, and so for $7, sign me up. Next, we have the LA Girl HD Pro Concealer. You get 0.28 ounces in this bad boy for $4.99. A lot of product for a very inexpensive cost. It also is available in 21 different shades. This concealer is a very natural looking, I would say medium to full coverage, buildable concealer. You get a lot of coverage out of this concealer. It's very creamy, it's very lightweight. The applicator on it is a little bit different. It comes in a squeezy tube and you have to apply it with the brush, which is like weird. I didn't love the applicator. I also did not love the shade that I had. I had the shade Classic Ivory, which is an online only exclusive shade, and I just thought it was too pink and I did not like that aspect about it. I think if I went back and repurchased this, I would consider doing not that shade. I would get something a little bit more closer to, I don't know, these days I really like to have a concealer that's like a shade lighter than my skin tone and not something so light and brightening, because sometimes it makes me look, quite frankly, really freaky. I liked it. I don't think that it is my favorite out of all of these. And at the point in which I had tried this concealer, I hadn't tried these other 4 that we've already talked about on my table here. And so I would steer you in those directions, but if you're interested in trying it, I did like the coverage level that it gave. I did like that it stayed on me. I just didn't like the application of it. I didn't like the actual product packaging that much. And the last concealer that I have is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Concealer. You get 0.17 ounces in this for $9.99. I found, as a general rule, L'Oreal seems to be more expensive when it comes to the drugstore. As far as pricing is concerned, they definitely are up there with being the highest. This concealer comes in 9 colors. I had the shade Fair, Light, Warm. So their colors correspond to how this L'Oreal line, the True Match line, does their their foundations, where they have the light, the neutral, and the cool aspects. I think that's very helpful when going to the drugstore, because sometimes light, what one brand thinks light is somebody else's fair and vice versa. So I find it really helpful to have those indicators of light, neutral, and warm, especially if you know what your undertone is. This was a very nourishing formula. I like the coverage on this. I would say it's a good medium coverage. I can't remember if it's buildable up to full coverage or not, but I really enjoyed this concealer. It wore really well. Now this is a concealer, I haven't repurchased it in a few years, and once again, I just want to reiterate that I have found these concealers to be very, very wonderful. I would put my recommendation, I'd put my stamp of recommendation on the L'Oreal True Match. However, since it's been a while and my skin has changed since then, my under eye area is not the same, I would have to retest it. But from what I remember, I still wanted to share it with you because I have tried it and I did enjoy it. I hope you guys found this helpful. Give this video a huge thumbs up if you found it very helpful, very informational. If you like my drugstore review series that I have going on here, I'm just finding, you know, I've really had to transition my thinking this year. And I think it's a very healthy transition. Instead of chasing after all these things, we can do that within an affordable, reasonable way. And I love that you can buy 4, 5, 6 concealers at the drugstore for the same price as some of the high-end ones that I've done. And so I'm just trying to be a little bit more, I've always been very practical-minded, but I was starting to be swayed and influenced by what I was watching and thinking I needed to go out and do all this other stuff. And you still can, but I just wanted, I don't know, I just kind of want to transition for a little bit. And that doesn't mean that I'll never again do any drugstore or any high-end foundation, concealer, or any product reviews. That does not mean that. And it also doesn't discredit drugstore. Drugstore can be just as good as high-end, sometimes better. It really just, for me, it's all about the product. It's not about the price, it's not about the packaging, it's about, okay, I'm actually buying, I'm not buying the plastic container. I'm buying the product inside. And so that's what it comes down to for me. And I'm finding that, quite honestly, these drugstore concealers are outperforming some of the concealers I have purchased in upwards of $20-some, $30-some dollars. These are doing better than that. So why wouldn't I make a video and talk about them? Why wouldn't I share what is working for me, and it's saving me money and it's saving you money? Thank you guys for chatting with me today. I had such a good time chatting. I love just sitting down and chatting with you. And stay tuned for next week's Chit Chatterday. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's going to be, but I know it's going to be great. So thank you guys. Love you so much. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and we'll chat soon.